Okay, there we go. Make the stream. I don't know why it doesn't make it public. It drives me crazy. It does do that. And Daniel J. Lewis said, there goes my productivity for the afternoon. Hey, we're glad to accommodate and help you out there, Daniel, and being non-productive for the afternoon.
Right.
You know,
we're just here to help. We're just here to help.
That's right. You know, hey, Rob, don't. That's a saying. That's a saying that's said by government folks. When I was in the Navy, it used to be like the government. It'd be like, "Don't worry, we're here to help."
Right.
And that wasn't necessarily a positive term of endearment.
No, that's true.
Yeah. So
it's a conflict of control is what it is, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was usually because when someone from the government showed up, it was like, oh my God, more red tape or something like that. So anyway,
right, exactly.
We're live. Hey everyone, welcome to the new media show. And of course, my name is Todd Cochran. I want to welcome my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. Rob, how you doing?
Hello, Todd. I'm doing great, Todd. Considering, right?
Yeah, considering. No complaints. I was just before we, well, I don't know, many of you were listening that were live, but I was telling Rob, I said, I didn't get out of here yesterday till 7 o'clock. And then I followed that up with, I better not be complaining because a lot of people are unemployed. So it's,
yeah,
but we're busy. So, I mean, it's amazing to me, the calls I'm getting. It's not just independent. I'm getting some, one, I'm getting a lot of radio folks.
Right.
A lot of calls from radio, a lot of calls from businesses that are thinking about, I've been sitting on the fence to do a network.
Right.
And those are adding more shows. So I think what's happening is that businesses are thinking a little bit more about their communication strategy to their customers and realizing that podcast needs to be added to the mix. So for us, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and from what I'm hearing too, I mean, it's some of the research that I've seen coming out here lately about what's happening to the changes in consumption around audio. And actually, this was actually posted in the IAB. I can't remember the name of the report that came out from the IAB that was talking about changing in consumption patterns because of the COVID-19 stuff. And it appears that local radio is really taking a hit right now on the advertising side.
Local radio, that's thing that actually, I haven't listened to that doesn't, because no one's in their car.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I mean, if you think about, and all these small businesses have closed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be advertising.
No.
So, I mean, I think local radio and their local radio stations are really going to get hit hard by this. Yeah.
So
they're probably thinking about podcasting.
Yeah. So Eileen and Daniel, welcome to the show. If you're on Facebook or any of the other channels we're on, or on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Mixer, we're on Twitter, YouTube Live, say hello in the chat. We'd like to hear from you. But it's true though, because all these businesses are shut down. So there's no reason. Now, the IAB came out with a revenue projection, what's going on with revenue.
Right.
And here's the thing. They're all predicting a downturn. What have I been doing mostly? Putting together RFPs. I've gotten a handful of RFPs in the past week of new advertising dollars coming in of people that have never advertised before that say, I want to reach this market or I want to reach that. Matter of fact, in our newsletter today that we sent out, we said we're looking for people that would like to run ads in telehealth because we have a vendor that's coming in that does telehealth and I'm putting together a campaign from then. So I don't believe it. Because last time that we had an economic downturn in 2008, podcasting went up.
Right.
I'm not going to say it's going to last. We'll see.
I don't think anybody knows that answer to that question yet. But there has been some conflicting data that's come out. I know that I saw an article that Nick Qua wrote about how podcast listening is flat. But and when you look at the actual numbers, I mean, he was taking data based on some research that was coming out or some data that was coming out of Ad Results, which is an ad buying platform. They also host some podcasts too, from what I understand, but from Stitcher and I think PodTrack, which isn't surprising, right? That Nick would refer to those people as a source of information for drawing a conclusion. But if you look at his actual charts of the top 12 networks, and we'll talk about a little bit of a controversy around the top 12 networks a little bit later here, but it shows a flattening here over the last week in the drop that we saw the week before that.
Well,
so we saw a pretty significant drop from March 9th through, as far as what the numbers that they're showing here on the top 12 networks, it showed a fairly significant drop, and then it's leveling. But I know Rob Walsh put out information about what's happening on Libsyn, and it was showing a double-digit drop in overall consumption of downloads.
We're not seeing that. We're steady as she goes. Even Steven. And we actually put out a new article about it on Monday.
Right.
That talked about, we actually surveyed podcasters. And actually, if anybody, and again, we're using what we have, what we currently have in our data sets here. And so we asked podcasters, and here's the breakout. And this follows what we put out the week before. Wait a minute, let me put this up. In the wrong doggone button, sorry. There we go. Got to get it right. It said 50% said downloads haven't changed, 25% said downloads increased, and 25% said downloads decreased. So again, it was even. Now certain genres again have seen hits. Some genres have seen increases.
Sports has been hit. You start thinking about genres that are related to events, right? Those are going to get hit.
Yeah.
And other genres are probably seeing an uptick. I think I saw some numbers that showed the true crime stuff is not being listened to quite as much. But a shift over to podcasts talking about the pandemic spike as well. So
the one gal's doing a genealogy show, and her numbers are up 13 to 25%.
Right.
And then another podcast, an anime podcast, he says that he's seen 100% increase. Now, why would you see 100% increase? We don't. And we asked him why. He said, when the news of COVID-19 broke, I knew that people would be confined to their households and need entertainment. Just like me, coincidentally, just before the virus hit, my show was accepted Pandora, and I released an episode recorded at the Chicago Comic Entertainment Expo. Since then, I'm seeing 100% increase. So maybe that was a combination of things that happened there. But another podcaster that's been with us since 2005, John, said that he's seen a decrease.
Yeah.
He says, I've been podcasting in various forms since 2005. The two podcasts with download changes I've noticed are the Wired Homeschool, which one you would think would go up, and the other one, the Struggling for Purpose. He said the Wired Homeschool has actually seen recent increase in downloads. However, I just stopped producing the podcast back in July, so he hasn't produced any new episodes. So of course, he says downloads understandably dropped in February. He says I saw a slight rise, probably because parents began to entertain the possibility of homeschooling their kids. In March, my downloads have tripled over February. So in other words, he has seen some increase and decrease. So again, I think it's really all about content.
Todd, have you seen a change in this show's numbers, or have you even looked?
I haven't looked recently, but we've been on a steady climb here for a while. We've been doing we've been marching. We've seen a good increase over the past 3 to 4 months, but we've been a little better job of promoting the show too. So,
right. Yeah, I'm just curious how the change to doing it twice a week has impacted.
Yeah, I should
how
load.
People are coming into the show. Are we adding, or are we duplicating, or that kind of thing would be interesting to know.
Right. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see where the space continues to go, but it absolutely makes sense that. So if that money's come out of radio, where are they going to put it? They're going to put it in TV, and or maybe if the radio's going to, if the local ads, there's not going anywhere. That's money that'll never be recouped.
Well, I'm starting to wonder, and I think some of the data that if you read that IAB report we're starting to show that these companies are actually reducing their budgets. So that may be a clean cut on the radio side. and they're not necessarily shifting it dramatically over to podcasting, but the level of spend on podcasting may be the same or up a little bit. Who knows?
Well, I think if you think about it, the advertisers are thinking, listen, we got 20 million people out of work.
Right.
They're not going to spend money on nothing. They are going to food, rent, water, electricity. That's what they're going to buy.
Right.
They're not buying anything else. They're not buying any toys. They're not buying no electronics. They are in absolute max conserve mode. And they're probably deferring electric and water bills because they can't shut off the electric and water in most states.
Right. Right.
So consumers are not spending. They have all these people out of work to have no disposable income. And even myself, I'm, again, very, very thankful I still have a paycheck. I'm not spending money on anything either because my 2 kids in Hawaii are out of jobs, And I'm thinking, how long before the phone rings and my daughter says, Dad, can you pay the rent? Or can you cover my rent for the next month?
Right. That's true.
So I'm in that mode right now of, trying to make sure that I have budget in case I have to step in as Papa.
Right. And then, I mean, how is this changing the whole landscape of remote work, right? Work from home scenarios. I know I have a daughter that's been trying to find a new job too, and she's looking for a home-based job, right? So there's probably millions of people out there that would love a home-based job right now.
I was talking to a gal that attended Jennifer Navarrette's podcast event down in San Antonio. She called me yesterday, and she helps people that her and I were talking the same language. She helps people that are blogging and have businesses and business funnels, and she's starting a network of shows and has people that are now getting ready to come on. And I kind of shared with her. I said, my 2 kids are out of work, and I've been kind of using this as a dad moment to say maybe you need to finish that degree so that you can have a job that'll be a little bit recession proof or COVID-19 proof or whatever it is you go forward. And she goes, well, now she says, we're getting people that are coming in that are desperate to start in other words, somebody just launched a voice work class and they had a whole bunch of people sign up to do voiceover work. So people that are looking for things to add to their CV that they can use. So I think we're going to see a lot of that. And that's why I think podcasting is in a perfect position. If you're teaching something right now on a specific topic, people are seeking that out. And you better be, if you're doing a show right now that is something that will help someone do something.
To generate some income for
generate
themselves.
Income or help themselves. Yeah. It is time to make hay. It is time to make sure you're promoting, make sure you're in social, make sure you're in those groups where those people are at, make sure you're all those things, because this is the time that, for certain podcasts, I'm not saying this is to be opportunist. I'm just saying this is an opportunity to get your show out there for people that we're not looking before.
Right.
And if you're not, you got to think about your content and who needs you.
Right.
We keep telling our podcast customers, if you need us, we're here. We're here to help.
Right.
Because we know who our customers are. We're here to help. You guys are doing the same thing. We're here to help. You need us, call us, email us. We're here to help.
Right.
Podcasters have got to think who's their audience is and who can they help right now? Who can they help?
Right. It's all about value exchange. I mean,
right.
Everybody has to be thinking about how they can add value to others.
Right.
And I think that's always been the key to the podcasting medium is people in this medium sharing and helping others is the key to success. Definitely.
And the one thing people are going to do is the last thing they're going to turn off, the last disposable income thing they're going to shut off is their phone.
Right.
Because they're going to ride it. They're going to ride the phone bill as long as they can on their mobile phone.
Right.
So they're going to have, and companies are.
That's their connection to the world.
That's right. There. So, again, mobile phone, food, electricity, it's one of those key items right now where budget's going to go to. They may cut the internet at the house before they cut their mobile phone.
Right. That's true, but then they're cutting off Netflix.
Well, Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile have all forgiven data caps. So they know they've got parents at home with kids, so there is not going to be a data. You might be throttled a little bit after a certain amount, but they're not going to come in and throw the hammer at you at this point.
Well, that and there's nothing to stop people from using their phones as a hotspot too.
Right.
I mean, I've done it before. I've streamed TV content on my TV using my mobile phone.
So Daniel says, knowing this affects podcasting, I push myself to get the Audacity podcast going again. It feels good to have some momentum again. Yeah, people, it's like Daniel's show. There are people out there, took a call this morning from a gentleman out of Chicago who is helping another person get a show going, and absolutely not a single clue on how to get started. And I said, okay, listen, you're going to be doing a commercial show. Do you have budget? Yes, I've got budget. Okay, great. We'll get you connected with my Blueberry Pro team. We'll get you set up. We'll get you going. A couple of days we can have you online. Start recording content. They knew how to record content.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to do anything else.
I said, how to get it distributed.
I said, we'll get you hooked up and get you started. So, yeah, it's crazy. So, that's why I was here late last night, was because I was answering calls from the West Coast.
Right.
People at 4:00 in the afternoon going, what's the podcasting thing?
That's right. And of course, I do something here?
Right. And my team is gone. So what do? They call sales and gets the answer machine. they collect tech support and get the answer machine, and there's the CEO. Click, and then they get me.
Right.
And I'm still still answering the phone at 7:00.
Right. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
And the guy's like, "Wow, you're answering the phone." And my response was, "You got to make hay while the sun shines."
Right.
So, and it's probably a bad way to analogize that, but yeah, I got to make sure these people are taken care of. Got to be here for them.
Right. That's true. Well, Todd, I know you saw this report from Edison Research about buying 5 networks gives advertisers significant reach. And what they're saying is if you buy 5 podcast networks, you can reach 50% of the weekly podcast consumers. But they don't mention which 5 networks.
Tom, are you on today? Are you watching? Oh, my goodness. I just got some news.
Did you now?
I did. I'm asking can I share? It just dinged right now.
On this same topic?
No, a different topic.
Different topic.
So I'm very excited. We'll see here. I just came in. It's completely, so, okay. She's giving me the message right now.
Well, there's some big news that's going to be announced next week too.
Oh, well, this is non-podcast news.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. She's sending me a message. So, I'm about ready to jump out of my seat. So,
really?
Yeah. So anyway, going back, I saw this thing from Tom. Tom, are you watching? Oh, okay. I can't tell anybody.
Okay.
Shit.
That is frustrating.
I have been sworn to secrecy.
Yes. Todd, you're doing the right thing though, right?
Yeah, I had to ask, can I share? I'll tell you after we're done. So anyway, this thing with Tom was, when I read that, I thought, and I'm sure he's got good intentions, but it almost sounded like a commercial, but
yeah. Well, and he has a quote in here that said, achieving that kind of reach 10 years ago would have meant buying thousands of individual podcasts. But as these numbers, these reach numbers continue to change, buying podcasts at scale is more feasible than ever.
Ah.
So that's an interesting quote, given both of our history and especially yourself buying across large numbers of shows. And you've been saying for months now that That's what they should be doing even today.
Well, here's the thing. Those are probably networks with very big shows.
Or have a lot of shows.
Right. And it makes me laugh. Right. And when I heard, when I read that, I actually did a little chuckle. I didn't even really, my brain just kind of triggered. It said, yeah, no shit. Yes. I can hey, today, if you're an advertiser, we can deliver you 100 million downloads a month right now. 100, actually about almost 200 million. I can get you 200 million downloads a month, but you're going to buy a lot of shows.
Right. Well, Todd, this does raise some questions, right? The list of the top 5 networks that they're listed here are not disclosed.
Mm-hmm. Where did he get the list?
Well, yeah, and what's the first thing that people are going to do when they see this? Where are they going to go, Todd, to find out the top 5 networks? More than likely,
they're either going to go to Triton or they're going to go to Podtrac.
Okay, so all you have to do is flip over to Podtrac
and look at the top 5.
And look at the top 5.
But the thing is,
what these ad buyers are gonna do based on this data.
Here's the problem, though. That's the 5 networks Podtrac measures.
Right, but there's no other ranker out there that is even to the level of Podtrac. So what is a person going to do with this data?
How many cars on the train, Rob? We heard the train.
I don't know.
Ongoing joke here. Rob I'm going to start asking him every time we hear the train. And those of you that missed a previous show, you'll know what I'm in reference to. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I have a little train track that's running around in circles down here.
Yeah. So going, so again, it's, I hope media buyers are just.
I mean,
here's what it is, though. Here's the simple.
I'm not sure that this is the right message to be putting out to the podcasting medium.
Yeah, it is. Of course it is.
Really?
Because the rest of the indie podcasters are continue to get shit on and forgot about.
Right.
And all the advertisers think about is the biggest shows. And
well, it's not even the biggest shows, it's the biggest networks.
Right. And meanwhile, 97% of that's the thing that blows me away. The number is not right.
Well, and it's not, networks aren't what matter. Right? It's the shows that matter. What is the top 5 shows?
Well, I look at it this way. This is how in part of what he says is correct. But
I'm sure it's correct.
But don't you want non-duplicative audience?
Well, that's what he's claiming these numbers represent.
Is non-duplicative audience.
Unduplicated cumulative reach.
I don't believe that. Networks usually are very duplicative.
Inside of the network.
Right.
I mean, especially if it's a common genre.
Right.
In that network.
Right.
Which, what he's really pointing to, right? I think we both know what networks he's pointing to, right? He's talking about iHeartRadio. He's talking about NPR. Mm-hmm. He's talking about, I don't know. I mean, who else, Todd, would be part of that?
Well, maybe ESPN and.
Yeah, I'm sure those numbers are doing really well right now.
No comment.
I know. Right.
I think they're actually holding their own, believe it or not.
They probably are, but they're probably a little bit struggling on the content side.
Oh, you're making me Google Podtrac Ranker. I don't even want to go over to their web pages because it gives them, every time I click on a page, it gives them some authority. I don't like even doing that.
I know. But the ranker actually shows the top 7 networks are 55% of weekly podcast
55% of Podtrac's weekly consumption.
Yeah, I mean, how else would they have gotten this data?
They don't know. They don't know how many I measure.
Right.
They don't know how many. Well, they know how many shows you measure. They know and we've been pretty public about how many shows we measure.
Okay, I'm going to read the disclaimer at the bottom of this slide, right? I don't know, Todd, if you want to try and pull it up, but it says how to read. Purchasing run of network advertising on leading podcast networks will reach 22% of weekly podcast consumers. Adding the second largest network will total an unduplicated 31% of weekly podcast consumers.
Tom says that. That's in Tom's article.
Yep. Well, it's on a slide from. It looks like it's a. I don't know if it's an Edison slide. It doesn't. It's not attributed to Edison as a slide, but it is on the Podcast Business Journal page. It doesn't actually have the Edison. Well, no, it actually does have the Edison logo on it.
So let's think about this. I'm just going to take a guess that you guys are measuring, and I haven't looked. I could look, but I haven't looked in a while. You guys are probably measuring 65,000 shows. I would guess. I would just
more than that.
All right.
More than that.
So
yeah.
let's, active shows. Let's be careful on what we say here. Active shows.
Right.
So I know just by having looked at something a couple of weeks ago that we're above 60,000 shows that we're measuring. Now, you and I, some of our customers use both stats. So there might be 3,000-4,000 in there. They're using both.
Right, that are crossed over.
They're crossover. So, but I would say that uniquely, just you and I, 120,000. Let's just throw that out for a number, 120,000. So then let's throw Podbean in. Podbean we can't measure anybody on Podbean. So let's put 40,000 or 50,000 from Podbean on there. So that's 170. Then everyone else, there's probably 250,000 podcasts that are being measured across 10, 12, 15 hosts. Whatever, Daniel's on here. He can tell us.
Right.
And yes, and there will be some measuring on PodTrack, Daniel. That is true. So some of ours will be measuring on PodTrack as well.
Right, and then there's Anchor too, that's pumping out a bunch of shows.
Right. But none of it. I'm not measuring any Anchor shows. So let's say you've got 250,000 shows, and that's a big. That's a big cumulative number of unique listeners.
Right.
And then you're going to say those 5 networks do 50% of those 250,000 other shows. I'd be hard pressed to. Someone's going to have to show me the math on that.
Well, I'm not even sure how they can even get to this number
because they don't know. I don't publicly say what our number is, what our total downloads per month is. PodTrack claims, and Cridlin made this claim put on his, that PodTrack was measuring 1 billion downloads a month. Okay, so
there's multiple billions a month.
So what can you say, Rob? I mean, what is the total? I think you guys report it in your SEC filings. How many downloads are you guys measuring a month? Can you say?
I don't even know that I have that number off the tip of my tongue right now. So it's probably in the multiple billions, I would think.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I'm just guessing at this point, so I don't have the accurate number.
So I know what our number is, and let's consider yours as 1 billion. Let's just say it's 1 billion.
Right.
I've got a big number. Podbean's got a big number. All these other groups have a big number. That's not 50%.
Right.
Of the total podcast. But he's quote unquote non-duplicative. So that's where because so
he's saying that, he's basically saying that the number one network in podcasting is capturing 22%.
Impossible. Of impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. Of publicly reported.
I don't even know how he could even come up with a number like that.
Well, it's again
it must be based on research information.
He came up with something
real data.
He came up with something publicly reported.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm not going to split hairs on this too much. But
no. It just doesn't doesn't drive. I don't like the message that it sends. That's the part that I don't like about it.
So someone that's got a calculator that's listening right now, take 1 billion, divide it by 1,000, and multiply it by 25. Tell me what that number is. 1 billion.
Well, Todd, yeah, I don't know. I'm not doing.
I know. I'm just someone's going to help us here.
But Todd, if you go to PodTrack and you look at their number one network, it shows how many that they're tracking, right? And it's like maybe what 100 million or something like that.
Yeah.
How is 100 million or 150 million or even 200 million 22% of total podcasting?
Impossible.
It's not.
It's not anywhere near.
No, it's probably like 1 or 2%.
Maybe 5, maybe 3.
Maybe. I don't even think it's that high.
Yeah. But anyway,
so those that are seeing this, I would really, I hope Tom comes in here and defends himself and defends.
He's going to tell us how he's going to tell us how we got it wrong.
Well, I'm sure that's true, but I think he's going to have a hard time because nobody has this information.
No one has publicly stated. Someone tried. The IEB tried. I reported back to the IEB had a thing like 3 or 4 years ago where actually, no, it's part of the ad survey stuff where we report numbers. I think we participated last year. I think 23 companies did. I think we paid $2,000 for the pleasure of submitting our numbers or whatever it was. And that report came out and it showed, global download data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One network with 22% of podcasting.
Eileen says, there's very little transparency in podcasting. I always wonder why we only get a slice of the day, but no one ever shares the whole pie. I've got data, but I'm not telling you where it's coming from. Just trust me. Well, here's the thing, Eileen. This is what we set our business up as in the beginning. When we started in the beginning, people are very, very sensitive about their numbers. And we basically said, we won't share your data. It's part of our terms of service. We'll not share your data unless you specifically write me a letter and sign it and say you can share my data.
Right.
That's for a long, long time I was using Daniel's stats in some of our demo stuff, and we quit using that. But that was I had asked Daniel, is it okay if I show this data? We got permission to show it. Not anymore. I haven't used Daniel's stuff in 3-4 years probably. And so I've got some other folks right now that have given us permission to show their data when we have to do demos and stuff. But I think what it is that there's no transparency in radio because there's no such thing, because radio just gets some report from Nielsen saying this is their percentage of market share.
Mm-hmm.
But and television's not sharing, they're giving you some estimated audience numbers. They know exactly what their numbers are because they're getting it all through the cable boxes now. They know how long you watch that television program now.
Right.
So
Todd, I do a search in Google under PodTrack Ranker.
Yeah, I did that.
And it comes up with its own. Google generates its own ranking chart.
Yeah, they have what they have there is they have hit the mother load. This is what's called a snippet. And if any of you ever get a snippet for something you have on your website, this is the number one generating traffic. For years I had the GoDaddy. When someone Googled GoDaddy promo codes, this is what they got, and they got my codes. My God, I don't have it anymore, but when I did. So yeah, they say number one NPR. Oh, here it is.
This is from November 2019.
Oh yeah, long. Temporary publishing rankings. It says temp. That's weird. They don't want to change that page because they'll lose that.
But it shows NPR's 152 million downloads and streams. And that's that's 22% of the podcast market?
No, nowhere near. That, of course, that's 2019 data, so.
Right, that's old data.
And only 67 shows. That's the kicker there. Only 67 shows.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one. Okay, I found a ranker for March 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It shows National Public Radio in number one again with 215 million.
It's still not 22%. Maybe it's. I thought I turned
that's. I believe that's a year-to-date number.
No. I think that's monthly.
No. It shows a unique monthly audience.
That's audience. That's what they think their audience size is, 22 million. Because people are listening to multiple episodes.
Yeah, right. Okay. That's unduplicated or unique audience.
That's unique audience. So
215 million is what they show.
And that is not
22% of the podcasting market.
And people that listen to NPR have a tendency to listen to a lot of NPR shows. So that is duplicative audience within that network subset. I think I said that right.
And iHeartRadio is number 2 with 206 million downloads and streams. So they draw their total in that up across 387 shows.
So I think what ends up happening here, 142,701,000, and I'm just doing some math on one of these. I'm going to divide that by one show a week. That's 4 equals, and then divide that by 327. So those shows, it can't be right. Let me do that again. I'm taking that November. So give me the March number for NPR. What was the March number for NPR?
215,368.
215,368,000 divided by how many shows?
49 shows.
Okay, so we're going to divide that. First of all, we're going to divide this number by 4 for 4 weeks out of the month.
Right.
And then we're going to divide that by how many shows?
49 shows.
So on average, then, their shows on average get 109,881 listeners or downloads per episode if we just took them as a whole. Right?
Yeah, it's average across all the shows.
Across all the shows.
Right.
So that's impressive.
Well, I'm sure it's not like that. I think probably it's the 80-20 rule applies. Probably 20% of the shows are getting,
So let's take that number for iHeart. So iHeart had how many? What was the total download?
306,372,000.
Divide that by 4.
By 387 active shows.
See, now that gets, that says that they're doing 197,914 downloads on average per show. And who's doing their measurement?
Well, 300, yeah. Well, yeah.
I can't. Did I do that number right? 326 million?
No, I don't think that's right. It's 306,372.
All right. I'm going to divide that by 4. Divided by, and then divide that by how many shows?
387 shows.
Yeah, that's right. I've done it twice. 197,914 downloads on average per episode. That's considering if they do one a week per show. And I'm sure there's some there that do dailies and all that. So
Right. The New York Times, which is number 3 on the list, is showing 127,949,000 downloads.
So 127,949
across 10 shows.
Okay, and I'm going to divide that by 4 and divide that again by 10. See, that's an incredible number, 3.198 million downloads per episode for the New York Times on average.
Per show.
Per episode, per show.
Right.
Yeah. That's interesting. A little, it's not that. Just so everyone be clear. We're just using an average of 4 episodes a month. The New York Times has probably got a daily show or something. I don't know. So that's still impressive.
Have daily shows, sure.
It's still impressive, but compared to
really true, though? That's the question.
Well, compared to the rest of the space, of course it's got to be true. Podtrac's IAB certified and using a redirect.
Right. Must be.
Got to be.
And that's across 11,522 unique listeners.
That's across 11 million unique listeners, and they're getting. Yeah. We had to play with that. I need to get that in a spreadsheet and play with that a little bit, because we could go through and find all those shows and get the average number. Hey, hey Daniel, you want a project?
Right.
There's the project is find out, get the list of the 327 shows, and then find out, by list how many episodes that is, and then we could really come up with a number. It'd just be some averages to be fun to look at.
So, Todd, if you look at the top 5 shows, like from that Edison research, right?
Yeah.
It's NPR number 1, iHeartRadio number 2, New York Times number 3, Wondery number 4, and PRX number 5.
Okay.
And if you were to add up the total number of shows across the top 5, I don't know if you want to do that.
Sure.
Here, 49 with NPR.
Oh, hang on. I'll restart. 49. Go ahead.
387 from iHeart.
Yeah.
10 from New York Times.
Yeah.
91 from Wondery.
Yeah.
82 from PRX.
619 shows.
Is driving 22% of the podcasting downloads.
Impossible. So let's go it the other way. Just give me, don't round up or round down. Give me the millions in those first 5 shows. The math on those. So
on a monthly basis for March. Okay. 251 or 215 million.
Yep.
206 million.
Yep.
128 million.
Mm-hmm.
59 million.
Mm-hmm.
And 82 million.
690 million downloads.
690 million downloads is 22% of the global podcasting market.
Let me think about your numbers and my numbers that aren't publicized. And on Podbean, just us 3 alone? No way. Impossible. If I take Podbean, Libsyn, and Blueberry, just what I know off the top of my head, no way. No way. But then again, he said because the determining factor there was non-duplicative. You'd buy you'd buy 20-some percent of non-duplicative audience.
Well, that's just the uniques, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just a total of the uniques column here.
But no, let's look at that. Let's look at those. Give me those uniques. Don't just round up to the tens.
But Todd, how does Edison know what's non-duplicative across those 5 networks?
Right, they don't unless they do it through an average edit. So let's just we're gonna drive Tom nuts here when he listens to this show. Give me the unique monthly audience in millions. Round up to in that report.
First one is NPR with 26 million.
Yep.
iHeart is 24 million.
Yep.
the New York Times is 11 million.
Yeah.
And Wondery is almost 10, so I would put them 10.
Yeah.
And PRX is 9.
9. So that's 80 million. Now, how many? Let's just poll the audience and see what. So if we had NPR, iHeart, New York Times, Wondering, PRX, and they're getting 80 million U.S. unique monthly audience numbers, then of course, what does Edison say is the monthly unique by their survey? Do we remember what they came up with monthly unique in their survey?
I think we'd have to go.
Wasn't it 160? Wasn't it 160 or something like that? Someone help us. Go to Edison Research, Infinite Dial, and look at the average monthly audience that's listened to. I think to at least one podcast. Or
let's see here. I'm trying to pull it up.
I'm sure that's where he's getting that information. I'm sure he's using that. That's probably the comparison he's using. He's taking the survey data with the unique monthly audience and then throwing some factor at it. Have we completely lost you guys? They're watching.
Right. Right. Yeah. Download the research.
Yeah, you'll have to go through 80 slides. Tom's listened to this, so he's just going to have to tell us how we got the math.
So monthly, I can get to it pretty quick here while we talk about something else.
But it goes back to the simple fact that there is no ultimate clearinghouse of data.
Well, this is based on survey data.
Right. Well, his survey data, which is okay. I'll accept his survey data. And then he's using the
okay, so I have a monthly, that's online, but not podcasting.
Hey, Marty, hi. Thanks for joining. Hey, Bob. Rita. Oh, you're
okay. Here it is. Okay, that's
I think it's
monthly. Monthly is, it says here monthly podcast listening in 2020 it was 37% or 104 million.
Okay, so let's take
50% would be what? 52 million.
Yep. And so if we look at those three numbers at 80 million, I think he could maybe deduce that is 50%. If he was using that U.S. unique monthly audience numbers at 80 million for March, and then he's probably thinking there's some duplicate in there. He threw a factor at it that most people are listening to 6, so maybe I think it's fuzzy math. We'd have to figure out how he did the fuzzy math to come up with that number, but I think there's a lot of duplicative audience too, because he even is in his survey data, it shows that there's a lot of duplicative audience. You've got people that are listening to 5-6 shows.
Yeah, but how is he getting the unduplicated percentage? Because it's not in his research.
That's the question. Yeah. I'm sure there's some fancy factor he threw at it, and we'll have to get him on or have him just let us know.
Right.
I'm surprised he hasn't come on the chat, because usually when we're talking about him, somebody lets him know we're talking about him.
Right. Right.
I'm open to it, but I think what we're seeing, you and I are focused on like global downloads. We were talking about that earlier. We weren't thinking about this U.S. unique monthly audience.
Well, because I believe that this data is U.S. only.
Right. And I'm measuring global. And I've got
and so is Libsyn. Right.
I've got some shows from Brazil that knocks would be like number. See, what was PRX's number?
PRX is 9 million uniques.
What was their global download number though?
81.
Oh yeah. So I got shows from Brazil that just it puts them down a notch.
Well, and so do we, right?
Yeah.
And we've got the biggest show in the world on our platform, and that show isn't even reflected in any of these numbers.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I guess what the distinction is U.S. only versus global, and you and I tend to look at the podcasting market from a global perspective.
Yeah.
This is looking at it only U.S. only. So, and if that's the case, then maybe, I'm just still shocked that such a small number of shows represents half of the podcasting space in the U.S.
Yeah. Again,
if it's true.
If it's true.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how we would ever know for sure to say that the data that we're seeing here is wrong.
Yeah.
But I do know that the Edison research stuff is based on survey information. It's not based on real server data, right? Podtrac is, it is pulling real data, right?
Yeah. So one thing that we ask, just to give you an idea of the level, let's just talk tech here for a second. I had a client a company that wants us to white label their redirect. And basically I had told them that we wanted to know if their system could scale to 3 million redirects an hour, what their uptime was. And I was basically, they squawked when I said I wanted 99.9999, which allows you to have about 10 minutes of downtime a year. Maybe a little more than that. Someone can probably Google that, but they didn't squawk as hard when I said 99.999% reliability with 3 levels of redundancy. The 3 levels of redundancy means you have a server that's taking redirects. It goes down 10 seconds later. The next server comes up. It handles a load, and all of a sudden it falls over. And 10 seconds later, the third server takes over. The chance of that happening is slim. We've went to a secondary server before, but we've never went to the third redundancy in a server before. Not to say that it can't happen, and God forbid that it does. But right. you would, and when you ask them to be able to support that level of traffic,
right?
The pushback was immense. But we also know that what happens in podcasting is a company may only be measuring, let's say, 300,000 downloads an hour on average. But then there's surge, and they surge to 3 or 4 million downloads a month. An hour. It's not necessarily we just run a math thing,
Right.
And so people get upset when we tell them, you got to be able to handle throughput of about 3 million an hour just for me to be comfortable with you and you have to prove it to me in order to be able to run a redirect. So,
right.
So if it's true and Podtrac says that they're doing 1 billion, I don't know if my calculator will go this high. Oh, maybe not. You take 1 billion, divide that by 30, and divide that by 24. You have to look at that type of throughput to be able to handle that type of load. And, that's not, no matter what you're doing, it's no small feat. And so as a podcaster, when you're out there looking at different measurement systems, you need to understand whether or not someone can handle surge and can handle that uptick in load, and it doesn't fail and fall over, and all of a sudden you're offline. So a lot of people out there trying to do measurement right now, and I guess I don't know how I got into this topic. Just looking at these numbers, I got to thinking. I'm like, I wonder what Podtrac has put in place, because I haven't talked to Mark about that in a while, how he handles his redundancy to make sure his redirect never, because I basically have told Angelo, our redirect can't go down. If it does go down, there better be nuclear weapons falling on the planet. And there's nothing is foolproof. Nothing is foolproof. And all I can do is knock on wood and pray we never run into any one of those situations, because it can be very devastating to anyone that has a significant outage. And so when it goes back to the measurement thing, you've got a lot of companies out there that are measuring, but they're nowhere near certified and putting their own spin on things and their own formula. So at least with PodTrack, us and you and whoever else has got IAB certified, I'm not going to poo-poo the numbers too much, but I know the difference between our redirect and our log files. So,
Hey Todd, I did notice that there's been some talk about Spotify testing out like what Apple's had for a little while here of doing things with podcast hosts in their user interface, right? Putting like a little photo image, like maybe a little bio that rides along with the podcast experience, and it looks like Spotify may be testing out profile pages for podcast hosts. And I know that Apple asked us to submit our stuff for this show to do the same thing with this show, but I haven't sent it to them yet. But it looks like that's what Spotify might be working on.
Yeah, I saw something about that today. I heard about it. I didn't read it. People love Spotify.
Yes, they do.
Marty says, I want to know both global, but also have advertiser and sponsors that want to know the specific U.S. numbers. Yeah, we break that out for you on our system. You just go to the state view and we give you the state number on an episode. But you have to, it's not as easy to pull out. You have to go look at it manually. But if you're, if you need the U.S. numbers, you can get a pretty good rough.
Yeah.
So I think most of us do that, give you the state breakout. Because I've had that tap before where advertisers would only allow us to bill for U.S. and Canada, and I had to throw everything else out.
Hey, Todd, I had this thought about, a lot of podcasts like to do it in person, right? So you have a group of people around a table. How many studio pictures do you know of podcasts that are done, with a group of people, right? And I know that a lot of shows produce like that, and I'm just wondering, I'm sure most of them have probably converted over to doing it via Skype or Zoom or some of these other platforms, and was just thinking, how it's now a stylish thing now to have a mask, right? So how do we, we may be coming into a time, and I'm just speculating here, where we're so focused on trying to get our economy back open and try and get people working again and moving again, that it looks like this whole mask thing is one pathway to bridging that gap. And I'm just curious, are we going to see microphone manufacturers come out with masks with high-end microphones built into them?
Well, yeah, I think there's an opportunity for covers, especially if they're going into a studio, because I'm not going to want to go into a third-party studio. This is my mic. This is my foam cup. No one else is talking to this. I can lick it and be fine, right?
Right.
But
if you have a studio where you're bringing in people into that, and a lot of shows do that. A lot of big shows are doing that. I just wonder if, I don't know what a microphone would sound like inside of a N95 or N99 mask.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be an N95, but at least be able to replace the foam easy, or maybe have your own personal foam.
Well, these just slide right off.
Yeah,
right?
But so maybe what you do is you order a box of those, and when Johnny comes in, you say, Johnny, well, here's the plastic bag, Johnny, with your foam cover.
But Todd, it's more than that, because what you want to do is it's going to be mandatory for all of us, I think, going forward, to wear masks when we're around other people.
But if you're going to be using a microphone and it has a cover on it, you change the cover out, I think you're going to be good.
No, but But if you're in a room with other people, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
But is a mask, because people aren't going to want to wear a mask and talk into a microphone like this.
I think they're going to have no choice.
But if you had a mask that had a microphone built into it.
Well, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess there's a business opportunity there.
Right. And yeah, I'm just wondering what it would sound like. I mean, because I'm seeing a lot of the big news anchors, like on the big networks now. You're seeing more and more reporters with face masks on when they're doing live updates.
So, but they're on the public usually. So, but if you think about,
right.
And that kind of leads to something that I saw Evo had published a blog post that basically said the reason these TV people sound so bad is because the public wants them back in the studio. I don't know. I think they're trying to sound good and they can't because they just weren't prepared to do this.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see any of the big anchors using high quality microphones.
But at the same time, I've just talked about recently having trouble getting good quality out of a lav. So, the lavs that they're using in these broadcasts must be really, really fantastic and probably a very high price item. Well,
they can be. I mean, you can spend a lot of money on those, but I don't think that they're a very good solution for in-home.
Oh, no.
Because they're condensers. They're designed to be used in sound studios.
Yeah. But I think podcasters are doing pretty good. And, I don't mind having a mic in front of me doing live. We've been doing this for years this way. So
right.
It would be kind of shocking, though, to see a TV person have a big fat mic like this doing the producers wouldn't allow it, number one, because it would be too much reference that it's looking like radio. They want them to look like this.
Right. Yeah, right. That's true. So, and like we've talked about on the show, I own a lavalier. I got a high-end lavalier. I spent like maybe $200 or $300 on it. And I tried to use it on this show.
It's still not
once or twice.
It's still not the best quality.
And it sounded like shit.
Yeah. So I don't know if they've got hanging mics in those studios or how they're actually, maybe we can have a broadcast person that's listening to the show tell us how they on these sets.
Put this mic.
Right.
I can't even do it.
Yeah.
So if I come down here like this and I take it out of the camera view,
it's not
so how
bad.
Does that sound?
It's not bad, but it's we definitely need to have your room treated as well.
Yeah, sound buffered.
Yeah, because it still doesn't sound the best. You get a little echoey when you're not on it.
Right. So that's why we all use dynamic microphones. Is because both of these mics have strong rear rejection because we're talking into big screens in front of us, and the sound bounces back.
Well, that condenser I had that I used for years
had good rear rejection, I'm sure.
Yeah, because it was definitely because I would speak into it, and it was right in front of my face because it was like this.
Right.
It was one of those.
Right.
And what I did for those of you listening is I put the SMB7 straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, I see some people doing that where they have the mic down here and it's coming up from below and it doesn't have this arm up here.
Craig says, it's funny when chat shows have big mics sitting on the desk and they're not even connected. Marty says they do both booms, lavs, and other. So, but those booms have to be pretty doggone good. And, because if you think about it, those booms are, you got a big studio shot. Those booms have to be pretty high to not be in the camera shot. So,
right. I mean, I could do that too. I could have a microphone hanging from up here,
right,
just above the camera view.
Yep.
But it's not going to sound anything like what I'm doing right now.
Well, here's the thing, Rob. This is where some sound design person, someone that is a professional audio person in these big high production studios, and actually we got one that listens to this show, He needs us to come up with some cool ideas on how to get us away from the mic, so that we even look more cool doing our shows. We can look like real broadcasters.
Well, there's these mics that you can get that align along along your mouth and your cheek.
Yeah,
I've got in. But the problem with those is they don't have very good sound. So
I've got one of those that I'm testing for my studio over here, and you're right. It's not the same as having this big diaphragm here to talk into.
Right.
So I don't know.
I don't know how we get around this problem. I know a lot of them.
It's not a problem for us.
No, it's not.
It's for podcasters, though.
I mean, we're mostly audio anyway, so we don't really care that much about the video, really.
So I had during one of my shows, or was it this show? The Podcast Detroit guy came on. Was it this show or? Well, they are doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it was this show.
Yeah, so they're doing everything. They're basically got 2 teams set up that are having people remote in and recording their shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess it's something they're going to have to think about. Maybe in these studios, maybe it's going to be bring your own mic. Bring your own mic, and there's going to have to be booths or something set up. And they have to be wiped down after every.
You have to separate people, though, because what has been said is that even the 6-foot distance from people isn't usually enough.
So, I'm not promoting this as a solution, but in this studio, I have 2. I think I talked about it already. I've got 2 systems that basically are air filters, and they're HEPA filter, and they have the same micron rating as an N95. And so I've been running those things at full blast here in the studio, even though I'm by myself, but I've been running them at their maximum circulation capacity. The company is not making any claims that they will pull out the virus. They don't say anything about that, but all I know is it's got the 0.3 micron, or I think it's 0.3 micron is or 0.1, whatever it is, whatever the N95. Oh, I lost Rob. Oh, he'll be back. So anyway, so maybe that's going to be part of the solution. It's going to be some air filtering in studios as well. Oh, there you go, Rob.
I don't know. I think we had a network disconnect happen.
I'm not even surprised because the way everyone's on meetings and stuff. Not surprised at all. So what say you? What do you think's going to happen? For the majority of podcasters, though, they don't go into studios. For the indies, the indies don't go into studios.
Right. Like us, we do them from our office.
But those that have set up, those that have businesses, or those that have set up to do their shows in studios, we could lose some shows because of this. There could be some shows that aren't able to record, or maybe they don't want to record remotely, or they're going to have to make some serious investment in each of their own home studios. I think this show turns out pretty damn good with you're coming in via Skype. I don't listen to a lot of the show, but I sample it when it's done. And there goes Robbie in. There's very little discernible difference between him and I in sound.
Yeah, I think we had a collision between calls because I called you back when you called me.
I never called you back.
Oh, you didn't?
No, that's weird. Or maybe my system automatically called you back. I don't think so.
Interesting. Okay. Well, anyway. So as you were saying,
I'm just saying, there's just going to be a shift. Well, people are adapting already. So maybe, maybe folks like Podcast Detroit, this is going to be bad for their business. Because they say, hey, we've been recording it from our home. We've invested in this money to have a good sound. Let's just continue to do it from home and not bother going to the studio. I think, from a work perspective, I'm trying to get a little bit of a gauge on our productivity as a team. And I think that I can see plus and minuses. And I think some people are more prone to be able to be more productive at home than others. So I think it's going to be the same thing with shows. There's going to be some shows that are going to do fine and thrive, and some shows that are not going to do well.
Yeah, I think that the audio quality may not be as good, because if you're only doing it over these calling platforms, it may not be as good as doing it in studio. And I know that there's a lot of shows out there that do their shows in front of a live audience too. I'm not a lot, but there's some, right?
Well, that's definitely gone for the foreseeable future.
Right. And us doing this show live on stage though it looks like Podcast Movement is still charging ahead, thinking that they're going to be doing their event.
But we did see something today. Sean sent it over to me that this is the first talk that they posted somewhere that they're thinking of moving it to the right. They're talking about moving it to later in the year, considering it. I think that's a smart move by them, because I'm looking at the time frame. It's going to be tight on August. October probably be okay, but August, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's either one of two things going to happen with that event. People have been cooped up so long that they'll be ready to get out of the house and go to an event, or the attendance will be way down because people are scared to go. So
I just wonder, Todd, if what's going to happen is we're going to open up the country when everybody can get really good face masks, right?
No.
You don't think so?
No. People can't. You can't buy a face mask right now. Good luck buying face masks.
Oh, no, I know, but by then.
Oh, maybe.
Like in a few months.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm seeing a lot of face masks being made that are very stylish now, very cool looking. Right?
Well, but you got to remember, the face mask, again, even with the current guidance, is to keep you from getting someone else sick, not to protect you.
Yeah, but yeah.
And even an N95 mask, unless it's properly fit, which half the country won't know how to wear a mask, doesn't protect you. So, this. When I was in the Navy,
right,
we would, in order to be around any painting, you had to have a respirator fit check. And these are very expensive respirators with commercial filters that you could be around paint fume, right?
Right.
And we would they would have a special booth set up that you stuck your head in, and they would have some sort of acrid stink in there that if you went in there and weren't set up right, you could smell that coming around the edge of that mask, and you could very easily, because air will take the path of least resistance.
Right.
So if you're not sealed well, that air is going to go around the edge, and you would smell that. And you'd come out of that thing, and you'd have to readjust your mask and wipe your eyes and go back into the hood. And so you'd have to prove that you could get a good seal at least 10 times, taking the mask off, putting the mask back on, adjusting it, go in the hood, be clear, come out at least 10 times before they would say, okay, you're good for the next 6 months.
So is that what they're doing in the hospitals?
No.
Because all of the doctors and the nurses are all wearing N95s.
Okay, this is not an N95 mask. This is a mask that is used.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, if you look at the bigger picture, that N95 mask is the same mask that our front line.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that
right.
I have an N95 mask here. You do too, Rob. Try to get a good fit on that.
I've been playing around with it for a while now. I think I do have a pretty good fit on it.
Okay.
What's difficult about it, though, I have to say, is that air does not pass through that mask very easily, and that's one of the challenges. That is exactly what you're saying, Todd. Is that it does tend to want to pull from the sides.
That's right. It'll pull from the side. So, and that's again, that's why for the average American, and most people are not going to fit their mask. They're just going to put something over their face. That is to protect you from producing droplets or whatever that's coming out of your mouth.
Well, and that means that our frontline healthcare workers are very vulnerable.
Yeah, that's done.
I mean, extremely vulnerable.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they're saying that that's their solution is to have more N95s.
But they're also wearing a face mask. They're wearing a mask. Wow. They're wearing a plastic shield. They're wearing, so, they're taped up and they're gloves. And so they have but still, for the average American that's not going to be wearing any of that stuff.
Right. That's for those face masks are to protect you against somebody sneezing in your face.
Or sneezing 3 rows over.
Well, I mean, you think about
if they're not wearing a mask and if they sneeze, it goes everywhere. So,
right,
yeah.
If you're looking at it from a healthcare worker,
oh yeah, from a healthcare worker, it's no doubt they're at risk. And the only way you can be like completely protected is if you're in a hazmat suit. You're zipped up. Yeah, you're full of biocontained. That's the only way you're completely protected.
Right, and we certainly don't have very many of those.
And if you don't shave, let's say you don't shave one day, a mask does not. Fellas, you want to wear a N95 mask or a mask that seals, the mustache and the beard is going to have to go.
Right. That's true.
Go.
I can see that.
And you have to shave every day and make sure you have a good
tight fit.
Tight fit. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. That makes logical sense to me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to be a scaredy cat. I'm not. It is what it is. You have to live. I refuse to not live. And it's already, I'm already reading overseas, May 1st. A lot of countries are opening up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And, people follow the rules and do the things they're supposed to do. I think, there's still going to be people get infected, but it's the people that aren't paying attention to their surroundings are going to be the ones that get in trouble. So, I saw something today. There was a big protest going on in Lansing. They're protesting our governor here, and the Detroit Free Press was up there doing a live stream, and 90% of the people did not have masks on. So,
it's all about homemade masks now.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
So if I get a mask, I'm gonna come on the next. As soon as I get a mask that kind of fits, I'll do the show with the mask on.
And we'll see what it sounds like. I mean, I've got a stash of N95s myself downstairs.
Oh, you sound muffled.
Oh yeah, we will definitely. You'll have to take this off when I do that. Do I sound a lot different, Todd, now?
No, not much.
Not much at all?
No, okay. Not much at all.
Okay.
One of my guys just sent something. Oh, Apple just sent out a email. Hot off the press. Dear podcast creator, in difficult times, we must work together, support each other. Apple realizes many businesses are affected by the global spread of COVID-19. We're here to assure you the review of new feed submissions, email support, analytics, and other operations aren't disrupted. Many creators have taken action quickly in response to this worldwide crisis, from providing urgent reporting and expert analysis surrounding the fast-evolving pandemic to advice on protecting physical and mental health issues, mental health during these unusual times. Apple Podcast hand-created editorial collections, COVID-19 Essential Listing, brings together intimate voices and powerful perspectives from all over the world. This frequently updated field guide will help us come together through shared experiences that are relatable, promoting understanding, and let us know that we aren't alone. As always, feel free to contact us. We're here to support you and our community of creators in the days and weeks ahead. Regards to Apple Podcasting. So that was just published. So I do want to hint what I'm going to talk about tomorrow on the Podcast Insider. Many of you don't listen to the show. Some of you do. But we have integrated with the Amazon Marketplace. And we'll be the first podcasting company where you will be able to buy podcast services through the Amazon Marketplace, primarily pro customers. So if you're a business, corporate entity, and you already have AWS, all you'll be able to do is just add that to your current bill and be able to be podcasting without having to write a new contract or have to go through any type of extra hoops or jumps. It just goes on your current bill. And so that will be on the street sometime next week. So that's one of the announcements. The other one, I might have to push another week. So it's a pretty big deal for us because this is the first time anyone has been able to buy a podcast service through the cloud and just as part of your normal cloud operations. So
this is through the Amazon Web Services platform.
Yeah. And they have something called Amazon Marketplace.
Right.
And we'll be on Amazon Marketplace selling podcast services.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I know that they've been playing around with podcasting support for many years on that platform, but I don't think what they were doing was very good.
Well, we're an Amazon partner. Been a partner for a number of years, and
I believe James Cridlin was actually doing podcasting stuff on that platform as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But again, this is in the first round is basically our pro services. It's not where if you're just going to buy a flat rate account. It's definitely for our pro level stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where we run into contract issues where someone comes in and they want to see. You got to go through contract negotiations and vetting and if you've already got an account over there and say, just go over to the marketplace and buy it and agree to the terms of service.
This is a crazy time for Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that you've seen their stock price lately, but it's like $2,200 a share.
Well, everyone's buying everything through, don't worry, Mike, I won't share the other thing.
Well, there is more stuff brewing with Amazon.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a big announcement, which I can't say yet, that's coming next week too.
Oh, really? Well, good.
With another big platform.
So it's coming next week.
Mm-hmm. As it doesn't really have anything specifically to do with us or anything. It's just.
Will it actually be launched or just announced?
I don't know that I want to go into much detail about this. Just something big is coming.
Oh.
And I would love to have somebody from this big announcement on the show next week, too.
Oh, okay. Well, see if you can get the Google guys to come on.
Thank you, Todd.
Well, that's I'm just guessing. That's, I'm just guessing.
Okay.
I'm just.
I didn't say it.
I'm just guessing. That's, I think I would have heard if it was Amazon.
No, I think you probably would have. Yeah. And I would have heard about it too. So.
Yeah. Well, I didn't hear about Google, so I guess I'm not in the loop. And I'm sure it's going to be something where it's like, oh, if you're on Libsyn, you're going to get some special deal. That's usually some, unique partnership that you guys have done.
No, I'm going to be doing a webinar next week, though, about our integration with Headliner. So.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Did you guys opt to pay? Are you guys doing the premium one?
Nope. All free.
All free, yeah. At this point, maybe
it's all free as far as initial access.
Right.
You can certainly upgrade if
you want to pay for their $10 a month plan or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And my whole point is someone got mad. I saw a comment on a basically some company was charging someone for access to the API. And I'm got to the point now too where if you want access to our customers, for me to help you make money, there's got to be some back and forth. I'm not just going to put something in my system that
Mhm.
helps someone make a bunch of cash,
Right.
where there's no, why do I want to, I can build my own if I need
Right.
to give something to somebody. So,
Right.
it's just
I
like,
understand.
yeah, because the next thing you know, they're competing with you and they built their business on top of you.
Yeah.
So,
One company comes to mind.
right. We learned our lessons there. So,
One big company.
yeah. So now
comes to mind.
I'm less inclined to give stuff for free. At least it used to be a lot of kumbaya, but now there's not very much kumbaya.
Do we want to say who that
Well,
company
we
was
already know who
that
it
we're
was. It
referring to?
was Spotify.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
So, I'm not as forthcoming to you want me to promote you? You want to make it available so my customers can go over and they can go over and use you.
Right. I think Spotify is an extreme example. They definitely didn't. Yeah.
But I'm not going to.
That was a conflicted situation. We needed them and they needed us.
So,
right?
yeah, and so here's another, if you think about this, you guys have price points that starts at $5. We have it starts at 12. It
Right.
goes up to, our flat rate plans go up to $80. And we know where each of us have a certain amount of customers in each of those plans.
Right.
And when I have a third party come in that's got a product that is, an additional 50% more money just to use that product on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
And I'm going to send my customers over there. I'm going to put them in my interface and promote them and maintain that API and all that stuff to be able to integrate with them.
Mm-hmm.
Then my product no longer can cost $12. My product is going to have to cost $22.
Right.
And I'm unwilling to.
Do you have that same philosophy when it comes to a free version of something?
Here's the. I really have to consider it. We've talked to them.
Right.
And, the dev is not that much.
Yeah. Right.
To get it integrated.
Right.
Probably a week's worth of work, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And, but what am I doing? I'm providing a button. Most of my customers are right on their own WordPress site. And I said to them, why didn't you have your own plugin? Just build your own plugin for WordPress and you're done. You don't need me to add a button in mine. You can have a fully integrated plugin and then you reach all of our customers. You can do an add-on to our plugin. So
that's a steeper hill to climb, though.
Yeah, not really.
Well, it is to some degree. I mean,
they have to code it.
Right.
I don't have to code it.
Right. And you got to get people to install it,
right.
and configure it, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So why not just go over and use their website directly? You're saving yourself one click or loading a URL. So there has to be some value. They talked to us earlier last year, and I didn't have dev time. Right. And they came to us with a good deal, and I probably should have implemented it then, but we just didn't have dev cycles to do it.
Right.
I still don't have dev cycles. We're not ESPN. We're not iHeart. We're not, all of us are still relatively small companies in the scheme of things.
Yeah, but yet we deliver more downloads to more shows than any of those platforms do.
It's okay. Downloads is not where the money's at, Rob. Money's at in the advertising, don't you know?
Oh, I thought it was in the streams, Todd.
The streams or the listens.
Oh, it's the audience. It's the unique audience.
It's the listens
off of streams.
That's right. So anyway, we're being a little naughty here at the end. Okay,
Yes,
we're out of time. It's
Yes, we are.
It's 4:30.
Yes.
So we didn't even open it up for callers today. That's amazing. We made it all the way through. So if you haven't checked in on Facebook, people are bailing already. They know we're getting ready. I see the numbers in Facebook dropping. I could be announcing something very exciting.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
so-
I could be, dropping the bomb on something here. You never
Yeah.
know.
So will we be able to talk about what you think is coming next week, Wednesday, or what day will we be able to talk about it?
We should be able to, hopefully, we might be able to talk about it on the Wednesday show.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll see what
But
happens.
I'm sure that the news may have already come out.
Oh, is there an article out already?
No, it's just an announcement. So I'm sure it's probably
Embargoed somewhere?
embargoed with somebody. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea who, but
Of course.
I don't.
Oh, it's Cridlin already knows.
Probably.
Whatever
Maybe
it may
too.
be.
Who knows?
Yeah. Okay, so exciting stuff coming next week. I guess we'll see.
Right?
Lots
Well,
more.
it is going to be exciting stuff.
Oh, well,
It's
good.
Good stuff.
Is there
Good
going to be
stuff.
an audio button on the search bar on Google.com?
Really?
Because I'm going to be honest with you, if there is, holy crap, that would be like the news of the year. If there was,
It's almost as good as that.
whoa, almost as good as that.
Almost.
You heard it here first. Almost
You
as
heard nothing here.
almost as good. Now, okay, hang on, Rob. When you say almost as good, that's
Almost.
okay. So
It's a big almost.
every one of you, Rob has revealed nothing. There's pure speculation here, right?
Right.
So all of you go over to google.com, and I know nothing. I haven't been signed to no NDA, anything. You go to google.com, and there's they've changed that recently. There is no more image or,
What?
well, maybe I
What'd you
guess,
find?
there is images up above where you do a search. Let me try something here. Oh, it's in the search results, I think. The Geek News Central. I'll type that. Okay, so let me just show you on those of you that are still here that didn't leave us so quickly. Up here on the top, for those of you that are listening, you type in any search term and you're going to see it says all, news, images, video, maps, and more. I've always said that if Google really wanted to make an impact, they would add audio to this bar on Google search results. Now, for
Right.
them to do that, that would be when Apple put podcasting into, at the time, iTunes, which is now Apple Podcast, that was a watershed moment. That was an inflection point. I truly
Well,
believe
Google used to have audio up there.
they used to. That's the key. They used to. But if they added it back, I truly believe that would be an inflection point. That would be major. But you're saying that what is coming is almost as good. Now, to me,
Well, it depends. I'm not being very specific on on how it's almost good for, or who it's almost good for, as good for.
oh, okay. Well, then you're not saying it, but it sounds like Google's going to have a directory. So that's what it sounds like. So I'm predicting.
They already have a directory.
Well, kinda.
2 million feeds. Plus, they have a landing page. now.
Okay, but it's
Plus, they have an app on iOS.
so it's going to be. All right, we're gonna have to see what comes next week. Any predictions out there? What do you think? But no one goes to that page. No one knows that those are.
You know what it is.
I do.
Talk to them.
I know what it is, but the average Joe civilian
no, it doesn't. Right.
Has no clue.
Right.
Right. I do as a pod. That doesn't matter. Right. I know, but whatever they do has to be good for Joe civilian that has never listened to a podcast before. You make a change that changes it for Joe.
Who said it had anything to do with listeners, Todd?
You said it's going to be almost as good as putting an audio search on the google.com search bar. So then it has to be, to be almost as good. That means it has to be for listeners.
No.
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 So I guess it's going to be something good for podcasters. Well, that sucks.
What?
We want something good for listeners. We want to grow listeners.
I know. Well, invariably, it may have a domino effect that causes that.
All right, so we're going to have stats. We're getting stats from Google. That's what's coming then next week. That's if it's going to be for podcasters and not for listeners. You're not saying it. I'm just guessing. He's doing. Rob's putting his upturned hands and not saying anything.
This pot is empty.
Damn it! We need more listener stuff from Google. I could care less what podcasters get. We give them stats already. Come on.
Yes. It is very frustrating.
The 800-pound.
We have to walk before we run.
The 800-pound gorilla could use the power of. They've done a lot. I'm not going to complain.
Right. They launched a listening app on iOS, Todd. You got to give them some credit here, you know?
Okay, and we are, and by the way, sorry, you guys know you guys are late over there at Libsyn, but we had that within a couple of days. We had that separated out. It's not duplicating Apple Podcast numbers. So
really,
I hope you guys got fixed over there, Rob.
We did get fixed. Yes.
Dave Clements,
like a cat that got neutered.
Dave Clements says a podcast submission form for Google Podcast. I don't think it's gonna be that. That's kind of like Oh my gosh. All right. Well, lots of juicy stuff. We'll see what happens next week. We'll be on the edge of our chairs.
Well, I don't know that I would do that.
Well, then it's not as good as almost being.
I didn't say it was as good. I said it's almost
as good. I can.
That's a big almost.
Almost,
not a small almost.
Oh, okay. My God. You're going to get beat up next week if it doesn't turn out to be something super fantastic, because it almost means that it's almost as good for listeners, not for podcasters.
I didn't say anything about listeners. You're the only one that said something about
but
listeners.
That's why I said if it's going to be big, that will be big.
Oh, okay.
If they want,
Google's already done the listener side.
No, they can do much more.
Well, no, I agree with you. But it's not like they've ignored the listening side.
No, they haven't.
Right.
All right. It's all about discovery. You got to help with discovery.
That's right, because it's such a problem.
And for those of you who don't have your own website, sorry, I don't have a discovery problem. Neither does this show.
Right.
All right, we get off in here.
I did send you a new cover art image.
Yes, you did. You did. So I'll get that updated as we publish the show tonight or tomorrow.
So which version did you like more?
I'll look at them. I'll do an A/B comparison. I think I like the bigger text.
Bigger text. On it? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll play with it.
Yeah, I think it looks better when the image is smaller.
Yeah. So Marty says it better be big, Rob. That's what she says in chat.
Any news out of these guys is big. Come on. Right?
Yeah. To a certain extent. Well, if we get, maybe.
They got a big team working on podcasts.
I know they do, but maybe what this will solve is podcasters knowing there's something else besides Apple Podcast.
That's why I think it's significant.
People that listen to the show promote to their audience that they're on Google Podcasts.
Right.
So if podcasters don't listen to this show, then it's their fault for not becoming educated.
Right.
Speaking,
you can get a PhD listening to this show.
That's right. Right. And we'll start issuing.
It says in our description, so it must be that way.
Yeah. So we'll start issuing certificates. All right. So, hey, make sure you share the show with your friends, family members, people that you know. Don't put it on the bathroom wall, but definitely share with your fellow podcasters if you've been entertained today and got educated. We'll be back with you on Saturday at 12 Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We'll be back with you for another live show if you want to join us. And we do have a donation button at newmediashow.com and also a subscribe button. I know you're subscribed if you're listening to this live, maybe not, but please help our download numbers at least. Just subscribe and you don't have to listen. You're here live, so it's good. But
well, just go to facebook.com/The New Media Show. That's all you have to do. And you can get us live on Facebook.
That's right. And but we go to newmediashow.com and subscribe to the show. But I'm Todd at blueberry.com. My Twitter address is at Geek News.
I am on Twitter at Rob Greenlee with 2 E's, and I'm also can be found in email as well at robg@libsyn.com.
And Marty, if you want to create the design for the certificate, we'd be happy to take your donation of a design for a PhD certificate in podcasting for the podcast. See how I handed that back off? Because she says she wants her certificate. So,
so we're now an educational institution, Todd. Is that what this is?
Hey, it's a PhD in podcasting. We're not saying we're an educational institution. You don't have to be an educational institution. You can become, Rob. You can become
it's a mastermind. Is that what it is?
No, we're not. So you can become an ordained priest by going online and registering, and you can actually marry people just by applying online. So I think we're allowed to give away a PhD in podcasting on the show.
Does that mean if you get a certificate from us, that means that you can become a podcaster? Is that what it means?
No, you just got a PhD in podcasting. That's all.
Okay. All right. I guess that works.
All right. I don't know. Probably some educational institution come and sue us if we start giving out certificates like that. But, screw them. We're podcasters. We can do what we want. There's no rules.
Yeah. Well, I hope that the Podcast Academy recognizes that certificate is a valid educational component.
We already came up with it. They can't take it. So.
No, but recognizes it as a valid certificate of professionalism.
Interesting. We might be onto something here. Adam Curry gives podcasting certificates, podcasting licenses.
Licenses?
So, yes, he gives podcasting licenses.
Wow. I don't know that I would go quite that far.
Yeah, I think it's actual podcast license. It's, I'm sure there's some sort of disclaimer on there, but.
Right.
All right, everyone.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
We'll see you next time here. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.